Last week, a study hit like a thunderclap. Tens of millions of American women under 30 are showing signs of menopause. You heard that right. Tens of millions. Young women, their bodies shutting down decades too soon. A fertility crisis isn't just looming, it's here. But is this a tragic fluke or a calculated move? Today, we're digging into the data, the whispers, and the powers pulling strings. Could this be the ultimate crime? A depopulation agenda designed to hollow out humanity itself? Stick with me. The truth is about to get uncomfortable. Before we dive in, join the TPV free speech community over on Soju. Soju is a digital space where ideas and information can take place without any annoying algorithms or restrictive rules getting in the way of free expression. And sign up to become a member of the world's first ever cybernation that truly believes in life, liberty, and the pursuit of your dreams. Visit joson.com and click the Join Us button today. It's completely free. Menopause. Basic biology, right? A woman's reproductive years wind down, periods stop, the baby-making clock runs out. Typically, hits between 45 and 55. Average age in the US a decade ago was 51. Simple, natural, nothing to see here. Except now, the clock has gone haywire. A bombshell study from Flow Health and the University of Virginia just dropped, and it's a gut punch. They surveyed thousands of young women, and the numbers are staggering. Half of women aged 30 to 35 are reporting signs of perimenopause. That's the technical term for this early shutdown. Hot flushes, irregular cycles, symptoms that belong in your 50s, not your 30s. Over 55% of these women say it's moderate to severe. Jump to the 36 to 40 crowd, and it spikes to 64.3%. This isn't a blip, it's a pattern. And here's the kicker. Researchers tie it to a bombshell stat. At least 50% of young American women who got the mRNA jabs are now grappling with these symptoms. The mainstream's quick to call it a coincidence, just another vaccine side effect to be covered up. But what if it's something more? What if this is a fertility crisis unfolding in real time? A slow bleed that could end us. It's not like the elite have been keeping it a secret. Globalists and their powerful allies have spent decades openly discussing their plans to eliminate 90% of us in the name of saving the planet. Here's Melinda Gates letting the cat out of the bag.
One issue that really grabbed me as urgent were issues related to population.
What the developing world does not need is more children.
And I think that was the biggest aha to Bill and me when we got into this work, is we asked ourselves, of course, the same hard-nosed question you'd ask, which is, if you get into this work and you start to save these children, will women just keep overpopulating the world? And thank goodness the converse is absolutely true.
And now we're seeing the consequences of the elite's depopulation agenda unfold in real time, because it's not just talk anymore. We've heard about spermageddon, men's sperm counts crashing, headlines warning of a barren future. That's terrifying enough. But this, women's reproductive health tanking at the same time, that's no accident. Something's breaking our bodies. Young men, young women, the very engines of life. This isn't just nature gone rogue, there is a hand on the throttle. This ties into something bigger, a deliberate push towards population collapse.
We have like too many people on the planet, but actually this is an outdated view. This is assuming that AI is fine, assuming that there's a benevolent future with AI, I think that the biggest problem the world will face in 20 years is population collapse. Collapse. I agree. I want to emphasize this. The biggest issue in 20 years will be population collapse. Not explosion, collapse. It's very easy to see what the world will look like in 20 years because humans have a 20-year boot sequence. So like you said, okay, well, who was born last year?
Let's name the players. The World Economic Forum, the United Nations, the International Monetary Fund. Not just acronyms running along the bottom of a news ticker, these globalist vampire squids are jamming their blood funnel into every Western government and penetrating cabinets across the world. They're not even trying to hide their agenda. According to BlackRock CEO Larry Fink, population collapse is a good thing, because AI robots will soon be able to do all the work of useless humans.
I could argue in the developed countries, the big winners are countries that have shrinking populations. Okay, that's something that most people never talked about. You know, we always used to think shrinking population is a cause for negative growth. But in my conversations with the leadership of these large developed countries that have xenophobic immigration policies, they don't allow anybody to come in, shrinking unemployment, shrinking demographics, these countries will rapidly develop robotics and AI and technology. And if the promise, I didn't say it's going to happen, but if the promise of all that transforms productivity, which most of us think it will, we'll be able to elevate the standard of living of countries and the standard of living of individuals, even with shrinking populations.
As the global elite sing from the same satanic hymn sheet, the question must be asked. Are we watching a sterile future engineered in real time? Don't go anywhere. We're about to unmask the endgame, and it's darker than you think. Are you interested in reaching a large and growing audience? The People's Voice offers a unique opportunity to promote your brand to an audience of millions of engaged viewers. If you would like to sponsor or advertise on our show, please email sponsor@thepeoplesvoice.tv. For decades, the globalists have peddled policies, open borders, climate dogma, economic upheaval, that don't just happen to kneecap families and fertility, they're built for it. Take the WEF's Great Reset, a shiny post-pandemic vision of sustainable development. Sounds noble, right? But when you dig into the fine print, it's a depopulation blueprint. Mass migration floods the West, driving down wages, pricing young couples out of homes. No house, no kids, simple math. Climate agendas pile on the guilt. Don't reproduce, save the planet, they chant. Then there's the cultural rewrite. Marriage is old-fashioned. Monogamy is restrictive. Family is a burden. Abortion is virtuous, God is dead, and satanic morals reign. These aren't grassroots vibes, they're engineered by the globalist organizations, disseminated through the mainstream media, popularized by pop culture, and funded by billionaires, meeting behind closed doors and sipping champagne at Davos, while plotting to murder all of us. Now, let's rewind the tape. 1968, the Club of Rome, a clique of scientists and globalist tycoons, dropped the depopulation Bible, The Limits to Growth. Overpopulation is the enemy, they say. Solution? Cull the population by any means necessary, according to co-author Dennis Meadows.
We haven't invented new ways of raising the death rate. Famine, pestilence, and war. I mean, those are the ones we have. They manifest differently depending on the technology that you're using, but that's the way. And it won't be just one thing, I don't think. It will be, it'll be a variety of things.
Fast forward to 1992, UN Agenda 21, a green plan critics dubbed a depopulation playbook. Today, it's Agenda 2030 and Sustainable Development Goals. Same game, slicker branding.
This is a plan that was agreed to by 179 nations. It's called the Agenda for the 21st Century. It's a totalitarian state being developed right now all over the world. It is the inventory and control plan. Inventory and control of all land, all water, all minerals, all plants, all animals, all construction, all means of production, all food, all energy, all information, and all human beings in the world. And this is a plan that was agreed to by 179 nations back in 1992. It's a United Nations plan. It's called the Agenda for the 21st Century. And so many of us around the world think that, sustainable development, it just sounds so great. Isn't it about recycling and creative reuse and creating energy and food resources for everyone? And the answer is no, it really is not. It's about moving populations into city centers, concentrated city centers, and clearing them out of the rural areas. All systems have to be brought into harmony in order to control them all, because when systems don't meet, when they're out of balance or not in sync with one another, they can't be controlled centrally. And the goal of Agenda 21 is one world government and total control from a central unit.
These aren't conspiracies taking place in smoke-filled back rooms, they're public documents. The elites are not hiding their endgame. They're betting that you're too distracted to care.
The big political and economic question of the 21st century will be, what do we need humans for? Or at least, what do we need so many humans for?
Do you have an answer in the book?
At present, the best guess we have is keep them happy with drugs and computer games.
So, who gains? For these psychopaths, power is the prize. Fewer people, less competition for land, water, energy. A small herd is easier to corral. In their AI-driven utopia, the elites don't need billions of us. They just need obedient slaves. A growing third world hooked onto their systems and a shrinking West is the dream. And the jabs, they're the perfect tool. Silent, scalable, slipping into millions of arms, while the compliant masses continue accepting the propaganda that it's for our own good.
Learn. So I got it wrong too. I succumbed to the propaganda and the fear.
I got 2 shots.
I didn't think that I got 2 shots. I was double vaxxed and I got vaccine injured. And then as soon as I looked into it, I found out that I was being lied to about everything about it. Especially they were lying about ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, that those were Nobel Prize winning medicines. They're on the WHO list of essential medicines. They've been prescribed billions of times, saved billions of lives.
This isn't a fast kill, it's a slow burn. No lone psycho with a knife, just thousands of quiet cuts across generations. The evidence? It's in the numbers. Fertility is screaming the truth. Tens of millions of women, their future stolen. Men, their potency fading. By the time the cradles go silent, it's checkmate. Just ask the Japanese.
Japan is running out of people, it will get worse, and we are next. Last week, Japan's government announced the country lost 861,000 people last year as the country's fertility rate, which is the average number of babies a woman is expected to have over a lifetime, fell to a record low of 1.2. For perspective, if you start with 100 million people and have 1.2 babies each, after 3 generations, you are down to just 20 million people. Related, over 65s now account for 30% of Japan's population, while a new study finds there are 9 million vacant houses in Japan, which is about 1 in 6 houses in Japan that are vacant and falling down. What's driving it? As always, government. Namely, we're running out of kids because slow growth and inflation force two-income families, while mandatory government pensions remove the main historical incentive to have kids to support you in old age. So if you're struggling to make ends meet as it is, and if you don't need kids when you're old, you will delay or skip them altogether. And that is exactly what happened in Japan.
But here's a flicker of hope. Somebody who gets it, someone tying these threads together, is now heading the Department of Health and Human Services. Can he turn the tide?
Pharmaceutical drugs and toxic waste permeate every cell of our bodies. The assault on our children's cells and hormones is unrelenting. To name just one problem, many of these chemicals increase estrogen. Because young children are ingesting so many of these hormone disruptors, America's puberty rate is now occurring at age 10 to 13, which is 6 years earlier than girls were reaching puberty in 1900. Our country has the earliest puberty rates of any continent on the earth. And no, this isn't because of better nutrition. This is not normal. Breast cancer is also estrogen-driven, and it now strikes 1 in 8 women. We are mass poisoning all of our children and our adults.
Here at the People's Voice, we are determined to continue exposing the crimes of the elite, but we need your help. Subscribe to the channel, spread this video far and wide, and join the People's Voice Locals community to join our awesome community and support the channel. I hope to see you there. Today's video is brought to you by IPv6ers. Are you a content creator who wants to publish information online